Welcome to orientation. We're very happy to have you on board. This module of orientation is going to involve cybersecurity training and awareness. So our training objective for this module is to build a cybersecurity culture in your practice. When everyone at your medical practice, from the CEO to the receptionist, participates in security awareness, you move from an organization that talks about doing things to an organization that engages in real, secure change. So what is cybersecurity? Cybersecurity is the use of technology, processes, practices, and, most importantly, humans to protect the networks, the computer devices, and the digital information from inappropriate access and use. Cybersecurity seeks to defend against any technology misuse by setting the best standards at every point of contact. What are some cybersecurity best practices? Peak, I'm with Peak. We are your IT MSP support. We support your practice's computer technology. We make sure that your computers are patched and updated. We make sure that your email is filtered. And we make sure that antivirus and anti-malware applications are running on the computers and servers that you use. You can defend with best practices as well by being aware of cybersecurity threats, by treating data, that is EPHI, with care, and by not allowing other users to share your passwords and reporting suspicious activity to Peak or to your manager. So how does a cybersecurity attack happen? An attack generally starts with an email called spam that encourages you, the user, to open it and then to click on a link, view an image or an attachment, or just behave in an inappropriate way. The action of clicking, of viewing, or opening starts a download in the background of your computer. That's the malicious software being downloaded. Once the software is installed on a computer, it migrates upstream to servers, and in the case of ransomware, it encrypts data files so that you can't get access to critical information. Attacks can also be successful through unsafe browsing habits. Advertisements, pop-ups, and embedded links in social media and legitimate websites can move a user from the site they wanted to visit to a malicious website that delivers malicious content. This is the anatomy of a cyber attack. We're not going to go into detail right now, but these are the important things to know. There's always going to be a reconnaissance state, a period where the bad guys are looking for weaknesses in the network, which can include the staff, you. Then they're going to exploit the weakness that they find. It could be old operating systems, weak physical controls, vulnerable software, passwords. Those can all be exploited. The last part of it is delivering the malicious payload. That is the code that can do the work of the attack designed for the exploitable vulnerability. And that code can be found in an email attachment, a link, or an uploaded file. An example of an attack is when an untrained user, while browsing a shopping site, clicks a link that redirects them to the suspicious website. The site delivers the malware. The malware travels from the internet to the local machine that's on the network. From there, it moves upstream to a company server, where it replicates out to other servers on the network. On the servers, the malware searches out data files and begins to encrypt them. As the encryption spreads, local computer users start seeing a document saying that you have been the victim of a ransomware attack. They give an amount to pay in digital Bitcoin, and they tell you that you may get your files back. Some important cybersecurity terms that you need to be aware of. Phishing. This describes sending email messages, usually to multiple users in an organization, that will trick the users into receiving malicious code or performing a malicious action. Social media phishing, something relatively new called SMP, refers to an attack executed via platforms like Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter. The purpose of these attacks is to steal personal data or gain control of a social media account. Ransomware is an attack that encrypts data files so that an organization cannot access information. The attackers usually threaten the subject to pay ransom for the decryption key or for the data loss. This is what we described in the last slide, where we talked about the anatomy of an attack. Meanwhile, the attackers often have exfiltrated the data and sold it onto the dark web. Ransomware is the top cybersecurity threat to medical practices today. Lastly, we'll talk about social engineering. Social engineering is the art of manipulating people to give information that they should not, or act in a way that endangers the security of themselves, others, or their organization. Social engineering is the ultimate exploitation of a vulnerability because it preys on the goodwill of people. So why are these attacks successful? Most cybersecurity attacks are successful because people have some very consistent characteristics. We like to trust. We believe in trust. We want to believe that other people are as trustworthy as we consider ourselves to be. We are people pleasers. Most of us want our coworkers to think of us as team players. We want to be accepted. We want to do the thing that makes other people comfortable. We are responsive to authority. We always want to do what our boss is going to ask us to do. Very few of us would lean the other direction. And we're responsive to pressure. We tend to bend more easily when we are told that there's a limited amount of time, a limited amount of resources, etc. So what can you do to defend against cyber attacks? You can choose and save your passwords with care and with diligence. Do not share them out with other users. If you didn't solicit an email or another type of communication, assume it's spam. You can pick up the phone and call an associate, a vendor, or patient even, to verify that they were really the ones who originated the email that you received. This is referred to as out-of-channel verification. Don't open attachments or click on links in emails that are at all suspicious. Send your email in preview mode. And then take a good look at each email. Does it look like previous emails from the same sender? Or is the wording or font or logo just a little off? Do not click links when you are browsing without hovering over the link and verifying the URL. Attacks don't just come through email. Often they come through websites. So it's better to check the link and make a mental note of the interesting site and then type it into your browser search instead of following a link that exists blindly. Do not respond to pressure. I know it's hard to do, but if you receive communication from your manager or somebody else in the organization that pressures you to ignore protocol and security, contact that person out of channel. Verify their identity. Once again, out of channel refers to using an alternate communication. If you receive a text, send an email. If you need to, pick up the phone or walk down the hall and speak to them in person. An example of this is getting a call from someone saying that they are the CFO of your organization and they want you to approve an invoice immediately so that it can be processed. There's pressure there, right? Politely explain to whoever is on the other end of that communication that you'll get back to them, but then check in an out-of-channel communication to verify before you give in. Next, if you find out that there is suspicious or malicious activity happening, please share the information with your HR department, your compliance department, with Peak. We would like to hear from you. We would like to be able to resolve it for you. And when in doubt, talk to your manager and Peak support about anything suspicious, emails, pop-up windows, files that are behaving suspiciously. Everything is worth taking a note of and investigating. So some tips that I want to share with you for workers who are going to be work from home or remote. Keep in mind in a medical practice that you need to be aware of HIPAA compliance requirements all the time, even when you're not in your office. You will be receiving some HIPAA compliance training, but if you need a refresher or you just want some additional data, your HR department will be happy to provide that for you. Make sure that you're vigilant about handling EPHI, and also be familiar with all of the standards. If you suspect that your personal accounts, your emails, your credentials have been compromised, please let Peak know. We are going to make sure that that personal account compromise does not wedge its way into your business profile. When you are work from home, it's also important to remember to act like you're in the office when it comes to paper PHI. Electronic data is important to protect, but there will be times when you might need to print something and you need to remember to shred it at home just like you would if you were in the office. So no judgment, no embarrassment. Do not hesitate to reach out to Peak and your manager if you have questions about an event or behavior that seems suspicious. So once again, we want to make sure that we're doing everything in our power to build a cybersecurity culture in your practice. I thank you for taking the time to listen. If you have any questions, please reach out to us.